Hey, so you know what? I don't know if I've ever gone on a true biker run. I've rode in the back of motorcycles with ex-boyfriends. My husband wants one, but his brother has one. I've rode them, and I've never been a part of a big run or a fundraiser. I think they would be so much fun.
Well, I think the bikers are all bad boys, right?
Well, they say that they're bad boys, but I know they have they're really, really nice guys.
Yeah, well,
unless you're Hell's Angels.
Yeah, our guest is going to clear up that misconception,
He will.
I think.
Brian Anderson, Biker America. It's a video documentary. Welcome, Brian. Woo! The crowd goes wild.
Thank you.
Are you from Fresno? Do you live in Fresno?
I used to work in Fresno. I'm the former principal trumpet player in the Fresno Philharmonic
Oh, yeah.
and Fresno Opera.
No
way!
Yeah,
I retired in 2014 because my teeth started going bad, so I'm now a filmmaker. And I'm also a motorcyclist, and so now originally I'd planned to make some fictitious biker movies, but that didn't work out because of business environment in the state of California, all that stuff. So for now I'm making a documentary. It's called Biker America,
Cool.
and the subtitle is God and Country, because I'm trying to address some of the demographic and makeup and concerned, all the stuff about bikers.
Yes.
And the image that we've gotten through the media has been overwhelmingly renegade, negative, bad boy, criminal, all that stuff, because of various movies, starting with the Wild One, starring Marlon Brando back in the 1950s.
Yeah, do you think that started that whole image?
Well, it started the whole media trend, and that was based upon a rowdy weekend in Hollister in 1947 when a bunch of guys came to town, rode their bikes around, got drunk, and they even faked a photograph of some guy on a bike drunk, and it turned out to be, they didn't know it was a fake, but it got in the newspapers, and of course that became the basis of this imagery. And so since our culture is so into images that represent greater truths and narratives and entire stories and all it takes is one picture to kind of throw things off, and that can be thrown off. So we know how that works. But I decided in 2016, I began shooting at various events. Now, a documentary, you have to kind of wait for things to happen. And so I spent 2 years going to various events, fundraisers, ride. There was one ride I did. It was called Ride for Ollie. He's a young boy. He had leukemia, and it was to raise money. And every biker shows up pays $20 or $25. And the name of the group was Riding for a Reason, and they are out of Tulare.
Yes,
and,
I've heard of this.
And that was a very nice event because they're able to use the funds to rent a little place for a picnic, and then the rest of the money goes to helping the family and the boy for whatever care expenses are incurred. So there's lots of events like that. The major concerns I found among bikers are charity events for needy children, or other related causes. For instance, every Christmas there are lots of bicycles that are given away, and that is a Hell's Angel event, but also other bikers do Christmas events, and even up in Course Gold. Course Gold has
There's a big one. There's a big fundraiser run.
There's a guy we call Biker Claus, and he dresses in a funny red suit.
Love it.
Yeah, Biker Claus, and he goes to Course Gold Historic Village, and the name of the business that kind of sponsors this is called G-Mon Papas, run by Mitchell Regal. So Mitchell, if you're out there, thanks very much. And lots of kids, underprivileged children in the Course Gold area are able to come and get some presents. It can be little trucks, and the girls get dolls.
Well, those sound like bad boys doing this.
Yeah, that's right. So these are just regular bikers, and they give money and all that. Now, so what we're finding is that the last, let's say 10 years or so, in fact, this era we're living in, where all of us who grew up in the 60s and 70s, now we're middle-aged, and now we're the old people. See, when we were young, Mom and Dad were the old people, and when we turn on the TV, see stuff about World War II, and that was firmly embedded in our consciousness. But see, since then it's been a little more cloudy. Vietnam was our first living room TV war experience. With World War II, you had newsreels, which were very selective and heavily edited. Okay, so fast forward to that, the fact that two world wars, World War I and World War II, contracted companies like Harley-Davidson and Indian to build lots of motorcycles for their soldiers, for American soldiers. Right. Okay, so those are supposed to be used. By the time we got the Second World War, well, guess what? They started ordering up Jeeps, saying, well, let's use the Jeeps for faster and can carry more people. So we had this huge bike surplus at the end of World War II. And guys who wanted to keep riding, they started buying bikes and all that. So we had a new social institution, which was your riding club or biker club. And those could be, just the boys in town, or it could be something else. But they would be doing not just regional rides, but some of your longer rides. Now, Sturgis got started in 1938 as a racing and stunt exposition for a weekend, grew in a few more days, and there was a...
Is that North or South Dakota?
That'd be South Dakota.
South Dakota, okay,
yeah,
sorry.
And it's a little town. It's right off the freeway.
Yeah.
And there are a whole bunch of businesses that are open for only about 2 weeks.
For the whole year.
That's right. They come in there and they open shop. And if, let's say, if you're a barmaid, you work, 20-hour days, and your job is to, serve drinks and entertain people, and everyone makes their money and then goes home.
They make a ton of money that week.
They make a ton of money that week, and they go home. And
in the 30s? Or even now?
What's that? Oh, now.
Sturgis.
Today. Yeah, today. Well, see,
even now, today, it's kind of sort of like that?
Now, see, it was in the 1970s pretty much that became established as the big rally.
Okay, that's
the
what I
last
thought,
rally
yeah.
that they had that I went to last summer. They estimated around, I think, 639,000 motorcyclists showing up. I think. Let me check if that's right. I don't know. I have that number somewhere. Let's just say that's the number.
Way over half a
We
million
can
people.
Google.
Right. I think the 75th anniversary, which was 2 years before that, was somewhere around 707,000 bikers. Now, a lot of people are taking their RVs to that, or they're driving.
Yeah.
Now, here's I don't like to make fun of people, but there's something called the trailer queen. You know what a trailer queen is? Okay, it's a motorcycle you put on a trailer and you tow it behind your Lexus or Infiniti car all the way to South Dakota, 20 miles out of town. You get it off the trailer and you ride it in, and you make it look like you're a Mr.
God,
Bad.
that
Yeah.
is
You rode all the way from
All right, so
San Diego.
yeah,
or
trailer
something.
queens are losing respect, and so you want to be a real frontier adventurous person. You ride all the way in. I think that you need to stick with the frontier spirit that is part of this country, and ride. So just get some bags, get a backpack. Now about the people in this documentary. There are 10 parts of the documentary. The prologue begins with a B-17. It's fully restored and operational, visiting an airport in Vacaville, and I filmed that, and a bunch of people showed up to look at it, and they gave tours to it. And I looked around. I said, something? There's no field trips from schools, and everyone here seems to be above 45 or 50.
Yeah.
And there's some more of it. There was a couple guys in wheelchairs fought in World War II there. I thought, well, what's happening here? So I videoed that, and part of the narrative is, well, are we losing touch with our history? What gave us the world we have today? If the Axis powers had not been defeated, we were wearing brown shirts, right, or worshiping, an emperor somewhere instead of having elections and electing a president.
Oh my God, that would be horrible.
We don't think about that because the president is so comfortable and accessible. But there is a severe corridor to our history that we all pass through, and we've had rust spots too. In fact, even now they're trying to undo this whole thing between North and South Korea. So. Gonna fix
I thought you were going to say Dakota.
I almost said Dakota. Yeah. This severe. Okay, so.
What's the whole thing about Hell's Angels? I mean, like everyone keeps they're like actually nice guys.
Okay, well, I think that
there's a whole history behind that.
Right, they were founded by a man in Oakland. I believe his name was Sonny Barger.
Oh, Oakland, California.
Yeah, and he founded them, and then chapter spawned and all that. And
yeah, that's huge.
If you look them up online, I believe that I can't say too much here because you get in trouble, but certain
you don't want to get beat up.
Yeah, so let's say the official commentary that you run into will not be stellar. They will be accused of many things that are bad. So all I can say at this point is that yes, there have been outlaw clubs which have been high profile, and people hear about them, like the Mongols, for instance, where I think were actually outlawed by the FBI. They've reformed.
Wow.
Yeah, they're broken down. And see, I mean, what do you do? You stop people from existing? I mean, all this.
There was a time where there was a biker gang. I forgot if it was the drivers throwing something at them or they were doing something. Do you remember this in the news? This was like a couple of years ago. I'm gonna have to Google to find out when. But they were like, I think people in cars were doing something to them.
Well, that's not good.
It's just terrible.
I don't advise throwing things at motorcyclists.
No.
They'll get mad.
I mean, why would you?
You wanted to see some pictures of
Yes,
Oh, sure. We'll talk about the documentary.
How can we see your documentary? Like, how can people get this?
It'll be released this summer.
Okay.
And if you just go to Biker America on Facebook, that's where it is.
And is it all California stuff?
No, I videoed in Oregon, California, Arizona, Nevada, South Dakota, Colorado, and let me think. Did I go to Idaho? I don't know. But I did a whole bunch of events.
Idaho being cool.
And all, but I just want to say that the major concerns being approached and shouldered at this point have been: are we honoring our veterans and caring about them? And as it turns out, a high school classmate who I just connected with about a year ago ended up working for the Veterans Administration.
Wow.
And she told me what's been going on with them and how the contracts they've had with hospitals have not been managed very well, and that's interfered with a lot of the care that veterans are supposed to get. So that's part of the picture. You hear about people dying, waiting in line. Well, there's reasons behind that, and a lot of it's administrative. So this, the 10 segments. There's not just the B-17 visit. There's what I have is called 100 years of motorcycle and road riding, the development of roads from basically 100 years ago. From wagon roads and dirt to our present day, that involved three presidents: Warren G. Harding, 1916, I think Calvin Coolidge, around 1926, the Highways Act. Okay, then this big gap until a man who had traveled in a military convoy on this miserable road in 1913, his name was Dwight D. Eisenhower, and he became president and then signed into law the Freeways, the Federal Highways Act. 1956, I think it was. Okay, that gave us our freeways. So now we have these wonderful roads and wonderful machines to ride them on. We've come into this big evolutionary infrastructural state with the kind of machines that you need to ride, and there's innumerable events, rallies and parties and all this stuff. Okay, so when you go to I put motorcycle touring and events, that just covers rallies, all kinds of stuff, charity rides. Then I put there's the two-wheeled classroom. If we run some pictures there, we can actually
let's see some pictures.
The
So what's the
two-wheeled
first
classroom.
one?
See it. Okay, that's Mammoth Hot Springs near Sturgis. If you drive your motorcycle from all the partying, there is a pit, which was a hot spring, and a bunch of mammoths fell into it, and they died. I think they recovered some 60 skeletons. See, they're digging out, and there's
La Brea tar pits, kind
That's
of.
right. And these, let's see, I think only 3 of them were woolly mammoths. The others were Columbian mammoths.
Wow. This is on your way to Sturgis?
It's just a little bit south of Sturgis. You just kind of do an excursion.
And you ride from California to Sturgis.
Yeah, it took 4 days. It was a long trip, but I'm not doing it again for a long time. Now, here's something else. There's the Black Hills Railroad.
Black Hills.
Now, notice on the left hand, the photograph there is a bunch of bikers there. They've gotten off their bikes.
I could see them.
To watch the railroad, the locomotive.
Is there really Black Hills?
Yeah, the Black Hills is that region. Black? Right. Well, I don't know if they're black, but they've got a lot of nice, nice trees and all that.
It looks beautiful there.
So I got this photograph as they're coming in. That'll be in the video documentary. It's a huge tourist attraction that is called the 1880 Railroad.
Ooh.
And it serviced a bunch of mills and mines in that area because mining was very big in the 19th century. Now, railroads changed America. That's all you can say about it. Railroads changed America into a whole different country. All of a sudden, you could transport huge amounts of good materials, minerals, people, cattle, livestock, agriculture. Everything was changed there. So, from the railroads until now was this progression that meant we can transport things. People can live all over the place and have a comfortable life. You can service entire cities. I mean, it's incredibly complex, but it had a genesis in something profound. Now, see, we're kind of coasting on the back of that. Now, if we go to Biker Games and Recreation, there's a picture of a motorcyclist trying to push a beer keg. I don't know if we have it there, but that's one of the games they play. It's called the keg race. There it is. Okay, now you look at the front of that tire there. There is a beer keg, and they have another biker will pull up there, and they'll blow a whistle, and the two bikers try and push the beer keg. Now, it's not easy to do that. Usually the keg kind of veers off, so whoever can get the keg
It's not easy rolling a keg or carrying a keg.
All right, so that's one of the games they play. Another one's called Weenie Bite. I didn't have a picture to show you.
A Weenie Bite?
Yeah, they hang a hot dog from a
dogs?
screen. Okay, now this one is the...
When is this? I'm sorry to interrupt you. When is this every year? Is it in the summer?
Well, summer is high season for all kinds of biker stuff, and people.
Sturgis, though.
Yeah, Sturgis. That's typically in August.
Okay, so
yeah, August, And I would say if you go there, be ready for cold and warm weather because when I was there, they had a cold spell. It was 62 degrees. And
it could happen.
Now, this is actually in Madeira. There's a group called One Nation Under God. It's a Christian biker group, and that's under the what I call faith-based bikers. There are a huge number of them like this, independent or big organizations like Bikers for Christ or...
Will this be a whole episode in the documentary, Faith-Based Bikers?
That's right. That's a segment H in the documentary is Faith-Based Bikers, and it covers their activities and beliefs and what they're doing. And you'll find them at most rallies. They're praying before they leave, and see they're asking for
really cool.
Asking for divine protection before they go. Now, if you're riding a motorcycle in California traffic, this is absolutely necessary.
I would pray if I was in a Christian group or not. I'd pray every second.
And that's them just hobnobbing before they go. And the First Baptist Church of Madeira has kind of given them, actually First Southern Baptist Church has given them a place in the basement to meet and all that. And they're at various events, and they do a lot of charity work and do like pancake breakfasts and stuff for the homeless in Madeira. A lot of groups are involved in stuff like that. What's another name for charity? Humanitarian.
Oh, yeah.
Humanitarian work. There we go.
I was thinking fundraiser.
Right.
Close enough.
So, and then there's segment 9 is our armed forces and the Vietnam War. And what we're dealing with now is a lot of your Vietnam veterans are in their 60s and 70s. Okay. So when the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was built in Washington, D.C. and dedicated, and I think was that in the 80s?
Yep.
Yeah, it was. Okay,
it's
80s.
Really cool. I just came back from D.C.
And
it's really something else.
I visited it years ago, and you walk up to it, and it just looks like this slab of granite, and you're thinking, it doesn't look very impressive, but if you're there for longer than 10 minutes, you will be fighting back the tears, I guarantee it.
Oh,
It's
much more. Have you been there in the last few years?
No, not recently.
It's like, I don't know what they jazzed it up, Mike, but it's like huge now, and it's beautiful, and there's letters. Like one girl,
People attach their letters.
Yes, I lost it because this girl, she never met her dad because I think she was born when he was fighting in Vietnam and died.
It happened. Oh, yeah, there's
memorials
there.
So there's a lot of letters, hey, Dad, I never knew you. Oh, my God, I'm going to start to cry. It's very emotional.
This photo here, that is on the way to Cripple Creek, Colorado.
Cripple Creek, Colorado.
Cripple Creek is a former mining town from the 19th century.
Yeah.
It's at 9,000 feet.
Wow.
And amazingly, it gets good weather. In summer, you get out your T-shirt, and it's nice weather. They have this rally, which began a number of years ago as an attempt to educate some college students about our veterans and the wars they've been through. Now that trike there is in the left-hand part of the photograph. That is what's called the Combat Hero Bike Build. That's an organization, nonprofit, which makes trikes and gives them to veterans who have suffered the loss of an arm or leg, and they make them so that they can be operated by someone who does not have full use of their arms and legs. So this guy who's sitting in that photograph is trying it out, and they give it to him in a public ceremony. It's really nice because now he can continue riding. Maybe these guys have been fighting in the Middle East. That's kind of forgotten war. Afghanistan, other places.
And it really is.
Yeah, and that's a long war, very long war.
Iraq, and the whole Middle East.
In fact, there's a ride that takes place in Modesto. It's called the Corporal Michael Anderson Memorial Ride. He was killed in Fallujah because trying to secure
Fallujah.
that. Yeah, Fallujah. That was a.
Have you guys ever done a cool ride throughout Arizona, like Grand Canyon and Jerome? Have you heard of Jerome, Arizona?
I've heard the name, but I haven't been there.
It's a cool mining town.
There are lots of recreational rides that are very good. One of them is the Mother Road Rally. That's Route 66. Begins in Chicago, goes to Santa Monica Pier.
Now
this photograph here,
that's
just show you the artistic aspect of motorcycling. Look at the paint job on that motorcycle there. It's incredible. And
but that's a different looking motorcycle.
Right. They've slammed it. Now slam means they've lowered it, and they've put this nice custom paint job, which is not cheap, and also there's extra chrome long. See those pipes there? Those are called long cannons. And that's really nice. So chrome dresses it up, and so it can be a real investment of self-expression, and every bike kind of ends up some version of that, whether modest. Now that's more of a show bike. You can ride that to the bar or ride that to the store, and that's
just show off a little bit.
That's right, show off and be cool. And
now
all
you're
that.
on a long trip with that.
No, are you kidding? The bike behind us is even more ridiculous. It's, I don't know if I put that yellow bike, if it's in any of the photographs there, but those are good for shows, and they get prizes as works of art, and they're marginally rideable.
Motorcycle is a work of art.
That's right. In fact, the Guggenheim Museum in New York had an exhibit back in the 90s, I think. It was called The Art of the Motorcycle, tracing it from its genesis to the modern day, and it drew
I lived in New York
huge
then.
crowds.
It did. It was huge.
We are running out of time. Is there a last
one
thing
more?
or two?
That is the Soldier of the Year Award in Winnemucca. It's called the Runnemucca, and that is called the burning of the bike. They do that
Look
at the end.
that.
At the end of every rally. That's over Memorial Day weekend. That's
You
their
guys
traditional.
actually burn a bike?
Someone donates a bike and they burn it, and that is the Main Street in
Jeez.
Sturgis. There, that's the Sturgis Main Street.
That's
That's
the main-
reserved strictly
oh my
for
God.
motorcyclists. And I would say if you're going to Sturgis, sure, go there for all the fun and all that wonderful concerts and all that, but don't miss the outlying attractions. There's the reptile gardens. There's that mammoth site. There's the train. There's all kinds of stuff. There's there's something called the Sanford Lab Steak, and it's an old mine. It's one of the oldest mines in America, or I think maybe the longest. This is on Main Street Sturgis. That guy in the funny yellow hat. There's the Sturgis. What do you call it? Not a mural. I want to say memorial, but mural. And it has a bunch of people there, saying hello to Sturgis. And they posted that on a side street.
Did people bring their families, like kids, or is it mainly just
right?
kind of couples?
It's become more family friendly. They had to kind of tighten up on law enforcement to make sure people don't get rowdy. They pass. It's kind of like spring break in Panama Beach. They finally said, okay, time to stop all the rowdiness. And by the way, that's the Lady Bikers of Fresno at the Ramada Inn. They had their annual gathering, I think, in May, and that's headed up by Terry Hendricks. She's a lady who's been very vocal in getting female bikers going, and they now represent 14% of all riders.
Is that right?
Yeah.
We're really out of time, but
Okay.
the documentary, we don't watch it all through. It's in episodes.
Well, you can watch it continuously. It's just episode 1, 2, 3, 4, up to episode 10,
like
and
a series.
Right, like a series, and it's I'm trying to make it highly watchable, and just telling a story. And I'm telling you the truth. When I shot all this video for 2 years, after it was done, I said, "What am I going to do?
Yeah.
What do you do with all this footage?" Well, I went through it 4 or 5 times, and finally, some stories began to emerge, and that's how you got all these. All these concerns. So that's
And
kind
it's
of how
mostly
that,
guys, and there's some females. You're just talking about the females.
Right,
or is there a lot of couples?
There's couples. It's funny. This is really crazy. I'm trying to make a fictitious biker movie, and I put out this notice saying, hey, if you want to be in a movie, women make up 14% of all writers. They represent about half of all the writers who want to be in a movie. So there's something about movies and glamour
Girls
and
like
theater.
to be in them.
they're
women-
like, okay, we'll
women-
do it.
That's right. They show
I
up.
can't wait to watch
They showed up
it.
like that.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe
Brian
you can come back
Anderson.
before it's released. We'd like
Sure,
to do
yeah,
that.
Yeah, in
absolutely.
June, you said?
Sometime over the summer. Not sure
Okay.
when. Yeah, June, July, August.
So you
somewhere
can't
there.
watch any of this until June.
still
Brian
working
Anderson,
on it.
Biker America, you're awesome.
Thank
That
you.
was very interesting. I learned a lot.
We'll be right back.